Welcome to episode 66 of Married into Crazy with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
And I'm Snooks.
You're always making fun of me when we start off.
I'm not making fun of you.
And I'm Snooks.
You said I'm Lovey, and so I just said, and I'm Snooks. How's that making fun?
Because you were looking at me out of the corner of your eye. I was getting a side eye while you were doing that.
Making fun of you, looking at you. Stop being so sensitive.
I just came back from a long trip. So
Okay, Ralph. Where's that?
Sensitivity. I had the melody off and everything. Dang.
Please don't.
I don't know why you don't let me sing.
Go ahead, babe.
No. I'm not going to sing.
Okay.
I was trying to serenade you. I was trying to keep it sexy, but, hey. Well, hey, once again, want to thank everybody for tuning in to Married into Crazy. And like I just said, I just came back from a trip, just flew back in from Michigan today. Mm-hmm. I had an incredible weekend where I got to hang out with one of my mentors, Dr. Eric Thomas, and a lot of the extreme execution coaches that do coaching across the United States. There's about 40 of us that are actively coaching across the U.S. That are based in the U.S. Because some of us have some international clients. I don't want to pop my collar, but now I got a buddy over in...
Brother, here we go.
A friend over in London that I've had the opportunity to coach as well. So it's fun. But no, it was really great to get together and with some of the brightest minds across the United States and be able to share best practices, if you will, when it comes to helping other individuals achieve their goals.
So what's the best part about that?
Best part about what?
Like the whole. Do you feel like is it a good feeling because you feel like you're accomplishing something, because you're helping people, because you just got to go hang out?
I think it was a meeting of minds. So you're in a room. So here's the cool thing. More times than not in life, we have situations that arise where, I don't know, sometimes you feel like people are drawing from your experience, from your goals, to where you're, for lack of a better phrase,
The smartest person in the room.
Yeah, where you're the smartest person in the room. And it's nice to go to these types of things. And that's kind of like what's called a metaphorical phrase.
It's nice to go there and be like, oh, I'm the dummy now.
Kinda. But it's nice to go and you see these people and it's like, okay, now I can glean information from everyone else. Mm-hmm. You try your best to contribute, because everybody does have something that they can contribute.
Right.
But it's nice to be in a room of giants, because when I say that these are some of the brightest minds across the United States, it truly was. I mean, we had, I don't want to call anybody's names because I'm not affiliated with them in any way, so I don't want to make it sound like we're the best of friends or anything, but I have some mentors that are in the room, and they are the best at what they do in the United States. We're talking about the #1 motivational speaker, not just in the United States, but in the world, and Dr. Eric Thomas. Everybody knows him as E.T. the hip-hop preacher. And then you have the mastermind that's behind his social media and everything that goes on, and Nikki Saunders. And Nikki, shout out to Nikki if you're listening. I know you peep every now and then. You can follow her at This Is Nikki on Instagram, and she's pretty amazing. She's been helping me kind of get some things in order, and it's just nice to be in a room with her and her crew, with Nick and Jose, and all these people are there. And then you have these other speakers that come in from all over the United States. You had guys like Words Taylor, you had Rodney, you had C.B. Phillips from California, you had Kiara Law, you had all these different individuals. You had Ashanti Odom was in the room, which is pretty incredible, and Mark Knox, who also has a podcast. You have these different people all coming in with different perspectives, different niches, if you will, but we're all there to learn and grow and get better at doing the same thing, which is helping other people. We come together to share ideas, not about making money, because that is a part of it, because we are in a capitalistic society, but when it's all said and done, the basis, the foundation it always came back to, how do you help more people? Taking on like a servant leadership role, and how do we become better servants so that we can actually help people get beyond their pain points. Mm-hmm. So that was amazing. It was from a professional standpoint, it was probably the greatest weekend I've ever had, whether it be in corporate America or in private industry. It was just amazing.
And meanwhile, back at the ranch,
I had
to drive to Salinas by myself. No,
Oh, for volleyball?
Me and Kiki. Yeah, in the rain, in the wind.
That doesn't sound near as sexy as what I was doing.
At all. But you know what? We have fun. It was a lot of fun. This is the first time that I I'd driven so far by myself, and it was so funny because everyone's like, "Are you sure you're going to drive? You're going to be okay driving?" I'm like,
Oh, the
"Yeah,
whole
I'll be
team.
fine." Well, I mean, like people at work that knew I had to go out of town. I was like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." That's so far. I was like, "I know. Don't keep telling me how far it is. I know." But yeah, I think that's the furthest I've ever driven by myself. Like
Was it
the
like
only
2 hours?
2.5 hours. The only driver. So, but it went by relatively quick. Kiki, we stopped and got dinner, and we got her something to eat. She fell asleep, so I.
You give us a blow by blow, and then she was snoring in the car.
Wow, because you talked for 5 whole minutes.
No, just saying.
It hadn't even been 60 seconds.
I know, but you hadn't made it out of Galt yet before all that happened.
Okay, so you go to Michigan and you think that you gonna come back and act like that? Okay.
Well, you know what? No, you're a beast. I don't want to. I don't want to poke the bear.
No.
I still got people texting me talking about how
hibernation now. So
do not get on Snooks' bad side. She will call you out on the podcast.
Not ever. No, I'm glad you had a good time. Like I said, we had a good time also. It was very stressful though. It's really I don't know, for me, I think I've said this before, but like when Lovey's not home, I don't sleep very well. So the first night wasn't all that bad because we were at a hotel, Kiki and I. And then when we came home...
I hope it was just Kiki and you. So I was at a hotel, Kiki and I, like you had to define that.
I'll never tell.
Whatever.
I'm just playing. Yeah, so we had to get up early, whatever. But when you were gone, when we came home Saturday, I was like, oh, he's not even here. And then you weren't home again, so I'm extremely tired because I don't sleep when you're not here. So all is right now. Lovey's home.
See, that's right. Daddy's home. Do 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 do. Daddy's home. You don't remember that song?
I remember the song.
Ah, I used to love, those old 50 songs. It's kind of cool.
Like what's
Sha-na-na and all that. Like we used to try and bring that back.
I like Tears on My Pillow.
Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Yep. And wasn't that wasn't he the one Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Was that him?
I don't know if Little Anthony sang that.
Anyway, so why do fools fall in love?
Because they don't know any better. Straight up. No. So, no, but what was kind of cool was when we were there, I just wanted to point this out that everybody had a different niche, but relationships always came up. Whether we're talking about marriage relationships or we're talking about relationships at work, relationships, everything comes down to
a relationship
of some sort.
Always.
There was a gentleman there, Justin was there, and Justin's niche is he's working with athletes that are either transitioning from college or transitioning from the NFL, getting out and going back to regular life because he played in the league for a couple of years, and he was just talking about how difficult it was, but it was also about reestablishing those relationships back in your community. And it was just so many different people, but it just seemed to me that the underlying issue was always relationships.
It's funny. It's not funny that you talk about relationships. Stop touching my mic, please. Anyway, because when the girls played. So this is a new volleyball season, and it's a different team, and they played up. So they played 2 18s teams.
So the girls played 17s.
Yeah, but they played 2 18s teams. No, and no one on their team is 17, mind you. Everyone is 16 and under. But they were out there. They were hanging. This was their first time really playing a real game together. So where you could see how they mesh and how they work together. It's like, what is the relationship like on the court with these particular players? You know, so like you said, everything comes down to relationships. And one of the things that I think we talked about a little bit was like their mental toughness, how they came out swinging. and they beat the first match. They won the second match. The 18's other team won.
First set they won.
First set, I'm sorry, and then the third set, they just got smashed. They just were demolished, and it's like they quit. They were just kind of out there, and it was just like they just quit. And so coach was saying, we don't quit, we keep going, we don't quit. Sorry. So they had that meltdown, and then the next game they were still in meltdown mode. Then then by the third game they kind of had gotten it back together or whatever. But it's like, it's like, so we were kind of talking about, how do you get past that I quit point? How do you get past that?
So you're talking about when
in anything, and
relationships, like in marriage and all that. One thing we talk about is overcoming adversity and going through the transformation, because there was a point where you wanted to quit on our relationship.
And it's so funny. So last week on our podcast, we had our interview with Ray and Fatai. And one thing that she was talking about was her desire to quit also. She was done and she was ready to let go. And that resonated so much with me, as far as there were so many parallels, I felt like, within what they went through, some of the stuff that they went through and some of the stuff that we went through, as far as the interference from other people, and that drove her to be like, okay, I'm tapping out now, I gotta go. So it was just, that was just really in my head, and I was just like, I'm so happy that they didn't quit, that they didn't they didn't give up. But then I was like, well, shoot, I'm happy that we didn't give up also.
Okay, yeah. Kinda, yeah.
Kinda a little bit. But it's like, when do you, I don't remember when I made the decision, or when we made the decision, or even if they talked about, they maybe touched on it very briefly, about when they really made the decision to not quit, to just keep going. Because honestly, if you think about it, you're in a situation, right? And you think, oh my gosh, if I keep going, I have to deal with this, I have that, all these different things. I have anxiety because the relationship is not where I want it to be. So I have anxiety about, what am I gonna, I'm not sleeping. I don't know about you or any of you all listening. For myself, I'm a stress eater, but it depends on the type of stress. So if I'm just like under stress.
First off, hold on. Don't even claim that. Say, I'm a stress eater.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying, words matter.
Okay,
we need to work on that.
Can I just finish what I'm saying?
You may continue.
Anyway, so I eat when I'm stressed. I eat, but it depends on the level of stress too. So if I'm crying and that kind of, then I have no appetite. But you have anxiety, you're restless, you can't eat, just wondering what the day is gonna bring. So you think about all of that. It's like, is it worth keep going? Is it worth it? But then on the other hand, you'd be like, you know what? If I just tap out, if I say I'm done, I quit, I release all of that in a sense. I don't have any more stress.
Or you think it's going to be easier?
Well, for the part that I care about is going to be easier, because I want to say obviously, but when you're in a relationship, there's hopefully, there's two people that are contributing to the household, or however it is that you have it set up. So, sometimes I think the financial strain may be worth not having the emotional and the mental strain. I'd rather have peace of mind and maybe have to be like, okay, well, things will be a little bit tight in my checkbook or my pocket, but I know that if I go home, this is what I have to deal with, or this is what I have to. So then at that point, money is not even,
right. What's funny you say that, because earlier today, CB, Words and I were at the airport over in Chicago, and we were just sitting down and had breakfast, and we were just talking. We had a good 3 hours just to chop it up. And one of the things that Words asked was, what?
I was going to say something facetious, but go.
So one of the things that Words asked was, so what's a good philosophy that you just, that you've come across in all your years of marriage? And I'm gonna say, so I told him one thing. What do you think I told him? I'm just curious if you could even guess what, like my words of advice, like what's a philosophy or words of advice that I would share?
Happy wife, happy life.
No. No, I figured you were going to say that.
No, just playing. Divorce is not an option.
Nope, that's a good one too. What I told him was...
Don't quit? Well, that's part of being divorced.
No, I told him that I think the thing that probably the biggest aha moment for us was you can either be happy or you can be right, but you can't be both more times than not.
That fits in with happy wife.
It does.
No,
it goes both ways, though.
I'm playing.
No, but one thing I was talking to him about was because you just talked about, it's that emotional strain, that financial. And there's an emotional strain if you're always trying to be right because you're sacrificing the happiness, if you will, of the home or the peacefulness because you have to prove a point. And I only bring that up because I thought it was interesting that you were talking about that. But I do believe that it's not always a certain point because you had mentioned what was there a point when where was it, what happened to where we got beyond the I quit or you got beyond the I quit, and you had mentioned it. I wonder what it was for Fatai and Ray when Fatai was finally like, okay, you know what, I'm going to move beyond that moment. But I don't know that it's a moment versus a series of moments, like a cascade of different events at different times at the right time to get you through it.
Right, but even within the cascade of different events, there is an event that will make you say, I can't anymore. I've had enough. Is it the culmination of all these events, or is it? Well, I guess you can't answer that question because
it wasn't for me. It was for you.
Exactly, you can't answer that. So, or it's different for every person too. It could be a cascade of events, you'd be like, all right, but it's a build, and then there's the one thing you're like, you know what, I've had it, I can't anymore. I can't, because sometimes you just come to the realization, or you think you're at that point where you're just like, it's never going to change, nothing is ever going to get better, it's always going to be this way, I'm always going to be XYZ, and I've had enough. I'm done.
So do you know what it was that got you past that point?
It was the force of having to face I'm not going, you're not leaving, you're not moving, because when at that point I was like, I have had enough, I'm done, I don't care, and you're like, okay, well, I'm out, So then when I lost my job and you're like, okay, you're still being the man, the husband, taking care of his family.
That's right.
Here we go. But you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You still have that Ephesians chapter 5 spirit of being what a husband does. You were taking care of us. You didn't say,
I didn't like you.
You didn't say, well, you know what? Well, that's on you. You got to do whatever because I'm out because I got my spot. You didn't say any of that. You still honored your vows that you will cherish me and take care of me, even though
I didn't like you.
Well, no. Well, okay, so you didn't like me.
Times,
I ignored you the first time. But you were more intent on taking care of you were more intent on keeping the relationship than being right, if that makes any sense. Because you could have just walked away and been like, all right, we'll figure it out. So I felt like I was pushed into, okay, you need to figure out what it is, or not so much figure out, but you need to get past it. You need to learn how to deal with it in a constructive type of way.
But how?
Well, I was going through that. I didn't know. I mean, because we were doing counseling. We went to counseling. And it wasn't until actually we did our counseling together. It wasn't until I did my counseling by myself. And the things that I want to say the things that I was tripping off of weren't important. They were important. But what I had to stop and really look at too, was the things that you were doing versus the things that you were not doing.
Explain that.
And what mattered. So when I tell people, like, oh yeah, well, I'll say now, not now, but when we were going through whatever, and I was like, yeah, we're separated, they were like, oh, so like, what did you do? So I was like, well, I'm always on the, not so much on the back burner, but the relationship with his mother is in our relationship, blah blah blah, all these different things. I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like I'm not being. He doesn't you don't take me serious, but
value your opinion.
You didn't at all.
Okay, at all.
I'm sorry. You didn't stick up for me. It's like, where were you? Where were you, Ernest? Where were you? You weren't there for me and to protect me and all these things. And so, I guess depending on what the expectation is, they're like, oh, so what? Like, oh, he didn't cheat on you? Oh, he didn't hit you? Oh, he's not running the street. So
that was like, you being a punk.
What, for lack of a better, yeah, they were like,
you were.
What?
Anyway.
You tripping off of that when you, and I was like, no, but my expectation is something totally different from, that to me never ever, what? Why would I ever, that would never happen.
Yeah,
so
non-negotiable, right?
Well, exactly, because we already had that, but,
You lost your train of thought?
I lost my train of thought.
Well, so maybe you'll remember when I start talking.
Adios.
No, there might be some people out there be like, man, she said, she gonna come at me and say that she don't want me, she don't want to be married to me, and I got my spot, I put my deposit down, I'm out.
I'm out.
And I've actually had people tell me that, like, I don't understand why you would have stayed.
Oh, I had people tell me that too.
And
he stayed?
But I think I know why. When you talk about United States, you talk about Ephesians 5, it was more about not being like my father. Because I grew up and it was so easy for my dad to leave. My dad...
He thought it was.
Well, let's put it this way. My perception was that it was easy for him to leave his family to go on to do something else, to start another family. And because the model was, he did that to me when I was 2. And then he went on and started the family with my sisters. And then he left my sisters to go start another family. And then he left that family, not to start another family, but to go to another marriage. So it was like my dad had a history of leaving.
When the going gets tough.
And I have no idea what the circumstances were in any one of those occasions. I don't have the luxury of having my mother around to ask her. I think in that, they were young and Dad bounced. But then when it came to, I know part of the reason, but because he was young and dumb. But then, leaving my sister's mother and moving on to his third wife. And then, I know why he left the third wife, and I don't blame him for that one. But it was one of those things where I think he probably would have stayed there out of convenience. But that one happened. But I guess I stayed because I wasn't claiming that part of my DNA. That I was making sure that wasn't part of it. That, if there's an opportunity to work it out, I'll work it out. Now, I did believe that once I leave, I'm out. But I still had to work through that. If there was an opportunity to not go there, to not quit, and I've never been a quitter. I've never quit anything in my life. Anything.
Well, that's one thing too. It's like I've heard before. It said, if you're used to quitting, every time you quit, the next time it'll just get easier and easier and easier and easier. It doesn't matter if it's in a relationship or whether it's on a job or if it's in school or quit your friends, whatever it is. If you're used to quitting, or if you have a history or you have a habit of quitting, the next time
it's that much easier.
A challenge comes up, it may be that much easier. I mean, because people quit for different reasons.
Well, you're
now.
building a habit.
Well, yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening is you're building a habit. But people think it's going to be easier. Like, oh, I'm going to take the easy way out. The challenge in life, though, and in relationships and everything, the easy way isn't the right way. More times than not.
Depending.
More times than not. Now, there's a difference between taking the easy route versus doing the simple thing. Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones, and we don't think they're good because they're simple.
I take that back because I was thinking of something different, but go ahead.
But I was going to say that. So we have these things we have these things called hormetic stressors, right? So when you're...
Are you doing biology right now?
I am doing biology right now.
Make it snappy.
Make it snappy, pappy. No, so a hormetic stressor. So it's one of those things where the hard thing makes you stronger. So when a person's working out, they're going to the gym, they want to lift more weight. Mm-hmm. So I can only bench press, 100 pounds. So you're bench pressing 100 pounds and you're struggling with it, but you're tearing up your muscle fibers and you're actually getting stronger because you're putting this stress, to hormetic stress. So it's a little bit of stress that your body's going to respond to it. And how does it respond? It responds by getting stronger so then you can meet that stressor and move beyond it. So now you can bench press 105, then you move on to 110. Before you know it, you're benching 215, then you're moving on. And a variety of things. You get stronger. Same thing with pull-ups. I can only do, a quarter of a pull-up, to a half of a pull-up, to one pull-up, to then two pull-ups, and so on. And it's because your body's making adaptations to it. It never feels good when you're in the process because there's pain, right? There's lactic acid buildup. There's all these different things that take place from a biological standpoint in that example that I used. But in a relationship, there's also hormetic stressors. Now, we think that we want to take the easy way because I can avoid the emotional distress or what have you. But the reality of it is your body, and it's dealing with the subconscious. You are trying to avoid the unknown, the unfamiliar, because I'm used to doing things a certain way. And I don't like this feeling. And in order for me to stay and not quit and work things out, that means that I have to be extremely uncomfortable. And people generally walk away from pain. They walk away from the uncomfortableness of having to look at themselves. I'm real big on using, I'm real big on using the DISC assessment. And I've had some great success with some of the people I've coached where they see the DISC, they get to know themselves, they're doing a self-assessment and they love it. And they're excited because they never truly knew themselves. I have some other people that are like, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that assessment. And it's because at the base level of it, they don't want to know themselves. Because once you know yourself, once you look in your mirror and you see yourself for who you are, then you become accountable and responsible for that individual, and you have to move forward. And same thing in our relationships. If you face what is difficult, barring abuse, we always say barring abuse, but you face I don't like being told what to do. I don't like their suggestions. Whatever it may be, put in the hard work and kind of go through your own relationship hormetic response and get beyond. You have to do the uncomfortable in order to move forward. And I think that what we did was we didn't settle. We said at some point, we got to a point where we were like, we're going to put in the hard work. And I'm a high D, high I when it comes to the DISC assessment. I'm extremely stubborn as well. So it got to the point where it's like, okay, once we got past a certain point, I'm like, well, I ain't leaving. I'm not going. I was a squatter in my own house. I'm not going. I'm not leaving. You're going to have to love me.
I never brought up again for you to leave either.
You didn't. Not in words.
I didn't act like that, did I?
You got to talk into the microphone.
I did not act like that.
Exhibit A, no. No, you didn't. You didn't act like that.
Well, okay, but in all fairness, though, we had decided without saying that we're going to work it out. And within that working it out, kind of like to what you were saying, it was very uncomfortable because we had to look at, okay, so what led us to this? How do we change that? What are we going to do about this? Well, we can't get rid of this one. So how do we change whatever, and make it fit into what we said that we were going to do, how we said that it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So it was an overtime thing. It wasn't just, I woke up one day and I was like, oh, I don't feel that way anymore. You know.
See, and I don't want to run the risk of telling people that time heals all wounds. That's a very cute, cliche-ish response. Time is going to come, and time is going to go. It's the one non-negotiable that we have in the world: aging and time. And I don't want to try and oversimplify it and say, if you just stick it out and over time, you'll figure it out. There is a component of that, but there's it's not that it's going to magically happen. It's got to be, okay, I've got the resolve. Exactly. You got to put in the work. You got to be willing to work it out.
And also you have to, okay, so kind of too, like you were talking about with the DISC assessment. One thing that I think kind of threw us for a loop is that we did what we thought we were supposed to do. We did marriage counseling. Right. We did that. And so here we are. I'm thinking I'm prepared for this new life. You're thinking you're prepared for this new life. But we were both kind of unprepared for what really came, what really, First of all, we were unprepared for, who's prepared for the stabbing? I wasn't prepared for the stabbing. And then
I trained for that. I was ready. in a weird kind of way. No, but it's funny. It's funny, not funny.
Not trained to be stabbed in the heart.
But okay, look, I just got to repeat this. I talked about it in episode 5. Winter's coming, but in a weird kind of stupid way.
Okay.
I did train for that.
So what did you do?
I remember I told you my Uncle Billy used to make us watch all the Kung Fu movies.
Here we go.
And we would go down to the Saturday matinee. No. Mm-hmm. Uncle Billy would make me and Anthony and make us control our breathing and slow down our heart rate and do all this.
At that moment, you weren't thinking about Uncle Billy.
But it was that thing where when I realized it was Dad, I honestly started working on, okay, control your breathing rate. Let's slow down your heart because I thought it was like a vein or an artery that was nicked. I didn't realize I was always actually stabbed in the heart.
No,
but
he said that.
No, I said I said it was an artery. No. Anyway, we're not going to argue about.
Because I remember. I was there.
But I didn't say he stabbed me in my heart.
My gosh.
So anyway.
When the blood shot out and the way that it was shooting out, you said you knew it was your heart.
So I knew that it was an artery.
No, you didn't say that.
Anyway, Miss C. See, this is the stuff we both agree that I got stabbed, but we can't agree on what I said during it. And we will argue about this for 2 days.
We won't argue about it because I'm right.
But anyway, I would say I trained for it, but it was just kind of being facetious. But that Uncle Billy actually had us slowing down our heart rate and actually trying to make us hold our breath underwater longer and control your body, all this different stuff. So anyway,
yeah. But back to what I was saying about being prepared. I felt like we thought that we were prepared. We had all the right information, but that goes back to kind of like you were talking about with the assessment. Wouldn't it be great if that was included in like
it should be
a marriage counseling type of scenario? Not a scenario because it's not a scenario, but marriage counseling, because what I think I know about you and what you think you know about me is, some of the stuff is right, but a lot of it could just be surface things.
Okay, let's
the deep in the heart of it, we're like, wait, what? What do you mean?
Okay, I'm about to bring the heat. You ready?
No, because I'm still talking.
I know, I'm stepping all over.
Okay, go.
No, because we talked about it.
You went to extreme execution.
We talked about it yesterday.
Okay.
One of the things that I brought up, because I was talking to billionaire Ben. What's up, Ben? I see you, boy.
What's up, Ben?
I told Ben that, see, in the DISC assessment, so listen, everybody, there's the D, the I, the S, the C. Each of them is a different component. It's about preferences and tendencies that we have in the way that we react to certain situations, right? But the difference is this. The person that we fall in love with, what? I'm about to preach?
You sound like X-Clan. The guy. Van Glorious. This is for the red, the black,
and the green. Oh,
okay,
man, that took us back. That took us back.
I was like, he the word of the brother. Okay, go. I'm sorry, my
but
apologies.
No, what ends up happening is when you fall in love, you're falling in love with a person in their natural state. And when you do the DISC assessment, what you'll end up having is a natural and an adaptive. What you're talking about is your subconscious way that you respond to specific situations and scenarios, and then you have your very conscious way that you respond to it. And one of the things that we talk about, and I'm not going to go into it now because that's what I do. That's what we do when we coach individuals, help them to identify their natural and then show them the gaps in there. But people marry the natural, they divorce the adaptive. And I was talking to Ben about that yesterday because I made this realization that the person we see, that's who we fall in love with. And then all of a sudden, if you're out there and you're listening to and you hear my voice right now, and you're thinking about the person that whose head is hitting the pillow next to you, and there are times you're like, I don't even know who that person is. It's because you're dealing with their adaptive. And what you need to do, and this is just a shameless plug, is go to our website, marriedintocrazy.com, and take the assessment. It's on our page, it's on the shop. Take the assessment, and I would highly recommend doing the consultation so I can walk you through this to help you understand. So we can walk you through this.
Wow. Hello, I'm right here.
I know. So I can actually assist you with this. But that's what it is. You marry the natural, you divorce the adaptive, unless you get it under control and you understand it better. I was telling several people, I told Words, and I even told Ben this, that there are times where you and I want the exact same outcome.
It's just a matter of different routes and avenues.
Exactly. We argue. The argument comes from how to get there. And it's because I'm a very high D and a very high I. Snooks, on the other hand, is a very high S and a very high C. Her C is dominant. My D is dominant. And D and C, and then we're going to have a couple of podcasts that's going to go deep into this and explain each one to a certain extent to get you kind of like an educational primer.
D and C don't mesh?
No, the D and C are right there together. They're almost the exact same thing. It's just the way they do it. They're both very task oriented, but one is very meticulous about how they get it done. The other one's like, I'm just gonna get it done. Don't care how I get it done. I'm just gonna get it done.
That's you, right?
That's me.
Okay.
I'm the get it done at all costs. I don't care about the body count. Let's get it done. You're like, no, let's really think about this. Let's figure it out. Let's get it done. I'm gonna ask a bunch of questions.
So we can do it right the first time.
Measure twice, cut once is what E said all the time.
Okay. Those blinds?
Shut up.
Those blinds.
I
That's all I'm saying.
I've never said shut up to my wife.
Those blinds.
Woo, but I just did right now.
Okay.
Those blinds.
Anyway,
That's funny.
Okay, well.
And I worked. I was the blinds guy at Home Depot for so long. Anyway, but go to our website, marriedintocrazy.com. You need to take the assessment. Hit us up, get back to us, talk to us, because I'd love to have that discussion with you in depth to help you understand yourself. When you understand yourself, when you know yourself better, then it helps you understand why you do the things that you do. And we go deep sometimes. If we do the deep dive, I will help you understand why you do the things that you do, the why behind the why. We'll go all the way back into your childhood and discuss some things where we'll try and figure out what even set the precedent. Where's the foundation of this coming from? And sometimes it goes back to just you've never dealt with certain things that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago. And it formed a basis for why you're doing the things you are now. It's one thing to know why you're doing things now, but it helps even more so we understand where it even came from. But anyway.
Oh, I was about to say that goes into my psychoanalytical theory, because it touches a lot with on the subconscious and the conscious and the things that happen, the repressed memories and things like that. So
there's a lot of time that goes in here. And one of the things that we are concerned about always is helping you positively transform your marriage. And that's all that the Married Into Crazy podcast is about, is kind of giving you some free content.
Well, that's not all.
No, it's about, transforming your marriage and having a great marriage, enjoying life, sharing our journey and all of that. But it's about transformation, quite honestly.
How I'm right most of the time. Lovey's crazy.
Exactly. How?
Okay.
Wait, she's crazy?
You already said yes. It's too late.
Anyway, but when it comes to not quitting, a lot of it comes back to you have to know yourself and why you were in that marriage, why you're in that relationship, and focusing on the why you did that in the very first place, holding on to that, and getting back to that.
Right, because a lot of times too, I think what happens is, I won't say I think, so we always, there's a phrase that we like to say. We just kind of use it. Oh, life happens, and life does happen, but we can determine how life happens. Also, we can, and
We determine how we respond
Well,
to
I was about to
life.
say, in some things we have no control over, but we can control how we respond to these different things that happen, and those things, those responses can make or break your relationship. So
Very true.
very true, because I said it.
So, what we like to do more times than not is when we have these topics of discussion, give you an action item to where you can have something to do, right? A follow through, something, a call to action. Point blank, the call to action this week is for you to take a look at our website, take the assessment, hit us up so we can actually have a discussion about what's going on and how we can assist you and move you along that transformation continuum to get you, if you're having challenges like we were, if divorce is knocking at your door, if the door, heck, not only did divorce knock at our door, the door was wide open and we were about to walk through.
Yeah, we stress that a lot, and there really is no joke. I mean, we're not just saying it to be saying it. I mean, I was done, and Lovey was done with me. He was probably tired of me. I'm sick and tired, and he's sick and tired of me being sick and tired. So
That's pretty much what it came down to. But we found a way, and we're very passionate about helping other individuals that are in that same boat.
yeah, I've always envisioned what I want my marriage to be, and how I want my marriage to look like, and it did not start out that way because I kept thinking, this is not what I planned. This is not what I set out to. This is what did I get myself into, and so it goes back to, was I really prepared? I wasn't prepared because I had no idea about so many different issues or what have you. But if you know that deep in your heart, the guy that you married, deep in your heart, I move around all the other stuff, all the anger, you're upset, you're this, whatever. I knew that Lovey was the guy because, well, first of all, the Lord was like, don't do this. And I was still like, nope, I'm going to do it, But besides all that, he was the guy. But with all the clutter and stuff over it, I couldn't see that. So if you know deep within, in your heart, the person that you're with, your spouse or whomever, if you know that they're the person, but there's some things that you have to work through, don't just say, you know what, it's just easier to, because if you walk away, you'll never know how it may have turned out. You'll never know how good it could be if you just say, I quit.
You know what? Let's, in the immortal words of E.T.
I thought you were going to say, hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
No, I'm saying,
Okay.
don't make it too deep.
Don't make it deep?
Don't make it too deep.
That was too deep?
No, I'm just saying, I'm just going to say, the easiest way to keep it simple is,
Okay.
what is that little voice telling you? That little voice that you hear, that gut, that conscious, Holy Spirit, that little voice usually is telling you exactly what you need to do. And more time, we get into trouble when we don't listen to that little voice.
That's very true. Because the first thing you do, you be like, oh, something told me to, blah, blah, blah.
And you know you're supposed to do it, but you impose your will and say, no, I'm just not going to do that. We get hard-headed. Look, when it comes to your relationship, let's not be hard-headed. Let's not get to the point where we do the things that we shouldn't be doing. Let's listen to that little voice when it's saying, you know what, submit. And submission goes both ways, fellas. It's not just for the women. But there's times where we need to sit there and be like, I'm just not right.
Yep.
So, with that said, we're going to table this for now, but I think this is a conversation that's going to be continuing. It's going to be a common theme that we're going to keep coming back to. And you're going to be hearing a lot more about the DISC, because the DISC assessment can save your relationship, and more than anything else, it can actually stop you from a whole lot of self-hatred. When you know yourself, you know why you do the things that you do, and when you know yourself, you can contribute better to the relationships that you're in. Your relationship in your house, your relationship at work, your relationship with your children, your relationship in sport. There's so many different things that comes back to this, but you can't contribute wholly until you know yourself.
I was about to say your relationship with yourself.
Your relationship with yourself. Amen. So we're going to be focusing on that quite a bit going forward because I'm extremely passionate about it, and you're going to hear a lot more. But for now, we need to do
Are you ready?
2 for the road. So I'm going to, ladies first. Too late.
You just took the thing from me.
Okay, you can go first though. Go ahead. You can go first.
I can listen intently.
Make sure.
I almost said, as I listen to Levy talk.
Oh, listen. So mine says I can pick up after myself.
Well, we'll try that again.
Yeah, I don't think I did too well last time I got this one.
It's okay.
I'm gonna work on it. But hold on, I came
Not
home.
part of your disc assessment.
So I went to Michigan for a couple of days, and then I come home, and all the laundry is piled up on my side of the bed.
I had to feel like you were there.
Oh, is that what it was?
Well, I washed clothes and I was doing my homework. Okay, so we had to go out of town. We were gone all day Saturday.
True.
Friday night to Saturday night, I still had homework.
I'm just saying. I came home like, oh, okay, that's how we do.
Well, you can pick up after yourself. They're your clothes.
Fold my clothes. Amen. Okay, I'll do that. Anyway, as
Fold
always,
them, not throw them in the drawer.
they're in the drawer. That's all that matters. I'm very high D. So,
Don't matter how they get there.
don't matter how they get there. They're in the
As
drawer.
long as they're there.
They're going to be folded up.
Oh, whatever.
Can't nobody see my drawers anyway. Who cares if they're wrinkled?
Okay.
Anyway, we are so thankful for each and every one of you. If you have questions, if you have recommendations, feel free to reach out to us at coaching@marriedintocrazy.com, or you can always reach us at snooksandlevy@gmail.com. Visit our website, marriedintocrazy.com. Take the assessment. Quit playing. Take the assessment, and better yet, take the assessment with consultation so we can have that conversation and really help you achieve the things that you want to achieve in your relationship and in your life. And then also, don't forget to check us out on Instagram. That is Married Into Crazy on IG. And last but not least, there's Facebook.
Sorry.
We have a strong Facebook community where people chime in, talk a little bit here and there. There's going to be more things coming up in 2020 that we're very excited about. We're looking at creating an online community and several other pretty neat things that are coming up. So again, once again, thank you. Until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.